Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Pretty Suited Podcast where we discuss personal development through a cultural lens. I am your host, Lauren A. And y'all, my girl has done it again. If you have not seen the new video and song from Victoria Monet, reach out. I don't know where you've been. I have been playing this song nonstop for the past couple of days just because I feel like this woman is extraordinary. I know that we keep having the same conversations about who's running R&B right now, who is our celebrity, who is our A-listers, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail just in a moment. But I want to say that Victoria Monet holds such a star power that we don't necessarily see nowadays. Victoria Monet has shown up time and time again over the past, 5-6 years now, even longer if you count her writing credits for Ariana Grande and other people. She has shown up time and time again as just somebody who is extremely talented behind the scenes as well as in front of the lens. One thing that this video displays is how much she's not afraid to push that boundary and showcase her light. In an era right now in 2026, I think we continuously perpetuate the idea that doing too much is cringy. And I think that within itself is cringy. I don't understand where this idea came from that, if you put forth good effort, if you do the right thing, if you, really good at your craft, that's cringy. Oh my gosh. And what happens if you fail? I don't know where that came from because where I was brought up with my grandma and my mom and my dad and my surroundings, it was all about doing the very best that you can so that way you could be a good representation of not only yourself, but your family. And we dropped the ball somewhere in the past few years. I blame COVID, actually. I feel like COVID is the answer to every problem that we have in 2026. But I digress. I feel like Victoria Monet has shown up as not only an artist, but a dancer, a good singer. She puts together great bodies of work. Jaguar 1 and 2 are personally my favorites. And just her ability to transcend sound that can be, I think, timeless. I think most of her songs that she's put out in the past few years can sustain the test of time rather than a lot of the songs I feel right now just are only for the moment. And what makes that a thing? Like, what makes that happen? I think that this could be accredited to a lot of things. Of course, her own personal work ethic, but also is held together by an incredible team of artists that want to see her do well too. If you think about it, a lot of the greats are usually tied to some sort of a person that has allowed them to transcend greater than what they've done on their own. For example, you have La Roche and Zendaya. Zendaya has always been that girl, but La Roche came and used his expertise to really catapult her in the terms of her being an icon when it comes to fashion and her presence on the carpet and just her style and aesthetic, right? And then you have, Aaliyah and Timberland. You have Pharrell and the Clips. Like, it's always usually a tag team approach when it comes to, greatness. You never really can do it solely on your own. And I think that that's what's helped Victoria over these years is having that team surrounding her. I feel like her collaboration with Sean Bankhead really, really propelled her. I mean, just if you think about it, she's been on the scene, but she really was noticed and highlighted when On My Mama came out. A few years ago. Like the choreography, the aesthetic of the song, of the video really kind of puts you back in time into old Atlanta, and it kind of made you feel a way. That's what good artistry does. It makes you feel. The song itself is a great song, don't get me wrong. But what I think made the song what it is just all the things that surrounded that song. The energy she put into her choreography, the energy she put into having diverse dancers from, different walks of life. And then also having great directors and creative directing in her videos. I mean, she's, my gosh, a beautiful woman. So that doesn't hurt. But she doesn't just rest on her beauty, which I think a lot of rappers and singers tend to do today. You know, they have the aesthetic, they have the physical appearance, they have a little bit of, you know, 1, 2, you know, they have a little voice, can carry a tune, but you know, they don't necessarily branch out into different things and do it well enough to to put them in the same stratosphere as a Beyonce or Mariah or a Whitney or a Toni Braxton or anybody else who is known for having not just a voice but a whole look and a whole sound. And I think Victoria does a great job at is carving that out. She does have some ridicule about her having like this particular sound that's not just purely R&B, but if you are really a fan of hers, both Jaguar 1 and 2 have a certain sound, and that is credited to her super producer D-Mal, right? D-Mal is known for producing other artists such as Bruno Mars, right? It's a very clean cut, it's a very 70s inspired, 90s inspired type sound, and it's very well produced. So again, her, Bankhead, D-Mal, as well as her performers and her dancers and her shows, like all of that surrounds Victoria Monet to be the great artist that she is. And so this particular song, you know, is very reminiscent of just a 90s look, right? She has that sepia filter. She has the, you know, asymmetrical lines. She is very remnant of house music, very remnant of runway, very remnant of just like real tailored and thought out creative directing, which I always love. If you know me, you know that I am a photography junkie. I also do photography through my company, Low Lens Media. And I just, you know, I'm only striving to get better and to just to be able to see, you know, the greats kind of put together something so amazing is very inspiring to me. So anyways, back to Victoria, I feel like, you know, this particular song just created a nostalgic feel of what we understand good artistry to look like. I mean, think about it. You had old Madonna videos, even more recent, like Lady Gaga. She always had, you know, somewhat of like an abstract type of look to her videos. I feel like Victoria is very known to do something like that. I mean, when it came down to her music video, All Right, I thought that was an amazing, well thought out, great concept of a video. I mean, she's never afraid to pull out some dance moves. That is something that you can expect from Victoria. But the looks itself, I feel like, and you could tell a great deal of attention was paid to just the angles and, you know, how the dancers even looked, the costume design, all of that was taken into consideration. And I respect that. I feel like that type of attention to detail and artistry is definitely what's missing. And then I almost feel like, now I could be completely wrong with this, if she was out maybe in 2002 or maybe even 98, 99, she would have been out of here. Let's just be clear. Like, I really do think from somebody who was brought up around that time and got a chance to see when pop stars were really pop stars, Victoria Monet would have been a pop star. And I'm not saying she's not a star now. Don't get it twisted, because we understand that she is, and she has a lot more to go in her stardom and her celebrity. But when I say she would have been in the likes and the conversations of the Britneys and the, you know, Beyonce, Destiny's Child, she would have been in the conversation. Let's just call a spade, and not just because of her look and her aesthetic, but also because of the music that she's putting out. Right? It's not necessarily tailored to just R&B. It has a pop element. It has a house music element. It has a, you know, real kind of something that you can hear played in different areas, whether it's overseas or if it's in the Valley, if it's in the Hamptons, it doesn't matter. Her songs can be played anywhere. And I think that unfortunately today, we have fallen in love, even just via social media and our algorithms, we have fallen in love with likability, with relatability, right? Even down to the content. If the content is too overproduced, then it doesn't do as well as if the content is just a talking head in a car somewhere. Studies are showing that, like social media marketers and managers all say that the more relatable the video, right? Something that the average viewer can actually do on their own, they're more willing to engage with that type of content versus overproduced content with the lights and the angles and the cinematography and things like that. While we still enjoy that, it's not as engaged as something that's a little bit more relatable. So with that mindset, with that type of mindset that we're having today, I feel like those who do go above and beyond to like something, the realm where we really just can't reach, that's not as relatable, I feel like that can cause a cast a shadow on a particular artist. I mean, I don't think Victoria Monet is the exact example of that because she is very revered for the type of work that she's doing, but I still think she could be bigger. And there's no reason why she's not bigger. I think the same thing can be said with the likes of Chloe, right? Chloe Bailey, she is extremely talented. I would put her in the same type of talent as Victoria. And not only and not only in just in looks and aesthetic, but also in her ability to produce music. Like we've seen Chloe Bailey do, put together a song on the spot. The same can be said as we talk about Normani. The same can be said as we talk about Justine Skye. Remember her? She was very much to be one of Beyonce's offsprings, like as far as talent and whatnot. So I feel like when we have artists like that who have the full package, why aren't they as successful? Why aren't they put into the category? Could there only be one? Because we still have Beyonce being active and visible, do we only have room for just one talented artist? I don't know. You tell me, is that kind of a thing? Because I'm starting to think it is. Because think about it, the R&B artists that we do kind of champion now, or even just, are seeing as being popular, are the ones that kind of have a very lo-fi, I could do this in my living room with a microphone and a guitar. Like it's not very much high effort if you get my drift. And I'm not saying that they're not talented. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the type of music that they put out isn't necessarily as laborious when it comes to, how it comes together. Is it technical difficulty? Sure. I'm gonna leave that alone. But what I'm saying is that gone are the days where you had that kind of full 360 type of artist that was so prevalent in the past. Most of the artists that were out kind of did more than one thing. Like they were acting, they were singing, they were writing, they were producing. Like it kind of was a full package just because we expected that level of greatness from our artists. And I feel like now it's not necessarily the case because of just how we perceive coolness and talent to be these days. I don't know. It kind of falls into this conversation that we recently started to see, based off of the Tuskegee University's decision that students are not able to show up to class in pajamas or bonnets or any type of sleepwear. And we keep going back and forth with this same conversation, I would say, in the past few years, particularly again since COVID. Everybody was in the house. Everybody was kind of getting used to just being at home in the comfort of their own home. Some people barely went outside during that time. So they were in their pajamas, or they were just, the main focus was to be comfortable because you were already in some weird situation and you already just had, just this type of fear and anxiety just surrounding everything. So I think that carried over throughout the past 6 years, that level of comfort and, remote learning and remote working and all the things, just so we're prioritizing comfort over, doing the extreme. And I think that has seeped into a lot of areas of our culture. This policy being one of them. I was in college in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Okay. During that time, which I consider to be the best time in college outside of the 90s. I would say that if it was an early class, we would show up and, maybe some slides. With Adidas slides were really big back then. So you'll wear some socks and some slides, or you'll wear some basketball shorts and a hoodie, something like that. Right. But I never, or very rarely, saw a person come out of the house with a bonnet on or even a scarf. That just wasn't a thing. And if it was a scarf, it was like a, bedazzled scarf, or a scarf that, it was supposed to be for the outside. It was like a stylish scarf. It wasn't necessarily, I just rolled out of bed scarf. So that's not something that we really saw in that time. But today, again, just because the younger generations was brought up on comfort level, right? I think the past 6 years, their predominant, upbringing is built upon that culture of comfort. So that means that they're showing up to school in bonnets, in, pajamas. They even go to the mall in pajamas and bonnets, and the airport and everywhere else. And I'm not saying that thing is wrong. You can wear whatever you want to wear. If you're a consenting grown adult, you can wear whatever you want to wear. But I feel like what that leads back to the idea of doing too much is cringy. And that has allowed this generation to kind of think differently about how they show up in the world. How else do you perceive comfortability when it comes to the rest of the stuff, right? If you just want to be comfortable in how you present yourself to class, okay. But now does that seep into, okay, if I get a job and they require me to wear a uniform, but I don't want to wear a uniform because that's not comfortable, then I'm just not going to do it, right? Or if I have to, write an essay and it's out of my comfort zone to, actually think and go to the library and pick up a book, and read things and sort it through and do some analog thinking and put it together and all of that. So can it not be that deep? Sure. And then I think that's the kind of like idea that some people have, that it's not that deep. They're paying for the class. Who cares if they show up, as long as they're learning. But the real, I feel, the real root of what I think the president or the head of the school is really trying to say is, you have to present yourself in the world in a certain way in order to be respected, in order to, succeed, in order to not have prejudgment placed on you. And not only that, because it has nothing to do with just assimilating to the westernized way of living. It has a lot to also do with, if you take this seriously, then it will permeate into other areas of your life. Is anybody saying that you have to have on designer brands from head to toe at 8 a.m? Absolutely not, because I did not. And I think that we can teeter into the respectability politics. We could teeter into, well, that's their business and all that. But we can really get into some dangerous zones when we just say everything is acceptable. And we have to be realistic and be willing to teach young adults coming up that you have to be malleable and you have to be flexible enough to adapt to whatever environment that is calling you to show up. But going back to Victoria Monet and this song, I really do appreciate her not falling victim to not doing enough. I think that she naturally is a performer. I think she's naturally a person who wants to go above and beyond to showcase talent, to show, even highlight the talents of her team. I think that that's always been a thing for her. And I just appreciate an artist that takes their job seriously. Because she could very well easily just slap on a lo-fi beat sit in her living room with a microphone and just, whisper. And she could very well just do that, but she chooses not to. She chooses to, do the high intensity and complex choreography. Bankhead pushes her to step outside and do something different. I think that collectively, it's important for you to even surround yourself with people who challenge you to be greater. Because what are you doing it for? If you truly love and enjoy the work that you're doing, what are you doing it for if you're not trying to be the best at it? And again, life is teaching us now, based off of our politicians and based off of all the crazy and weird things that they're trying to do to everyone. I feel like you feel discouraged to do the very best, right? Because why? I'm not going to be rewarded for it. They're going to try to dog me out, or they're going to try to, find some loopholes anyway. And then the mediocre is going to succeed. That's the kind of atmosphere that we're living in. So people aren't really incentivized to do the best they can. But some people, shout out to those people who say, despite that, nevertheless, I'm going to do the very best I can because this is how I sleep at night, right? At this level, because I put forth my best effort, because I was able to amplify and grow and develop the culture and the art itself, I could leave this world saying that I contributed positively to it. That's why they're doing it. And I hope that each of you guys can find that thing that really just gets you motivated, that really makes you, tear up, that really brings out the emotion and the passion within you to do it at 100%. I don't care if it's basket weaving, okay? What is it that you like to do, and do it well? Because if not, then why are we here? What are we doing? And I just refuse to believe that everybody is just going to be on the same mediocre wave. I just don't, I have more faith in y'all than that. Like, for real, like I do. So shout out to Victoria Monet for just going above and beyond and really showing what going the extra mile looks like. We're trying to build the community, so I appreciate you guys if you would like, share, and subscribe. And as always, you cannot manifest the life you feel like you don't deserve, so create the life that you want and look to the sky for grace. Bye-bye. For all that life has in store, health, culture, and more.